Borzou Daraghi is an international correspondent for the Independent newspaper covering the Middle East, Europe, and North Africa. He joins us now here in the studio. Thanks for coming in. How ominous is the situation here? I mean, we go from statements of no one wants war to threats of war. Where does the truth actually lie?
Well, I think that no one wants war. There's still a big possibility that all the parties could stumble into it inadvertently through a series of misunderstandings and accidents and so on. And that's the real fear at this point. But, you know, clearly Donald Trump doesn't want a war, doesn't want to deal with that issue, doesn't probably trust himself to deal with something that complex. You could see him almost very kind of in rare moments taking on a very somber tone when he starts addressing this particular issue. The bluster goes away. He starts talking about how bad war is and how he doesn't want to get into it. I think even a war with Iran he might not be arrogant enough to think he could handle that.
Right. And that's what's so ominous about it, is this feeling that no one really is entirely in control. And no one can reassure us entirely that things won't get out of control with all the rhetoric being thrown back and forth. But, I mean, as far as Iran's concerned, France, as we heard there, seems to be at least somewhat, I guess, helpful. I mean, asking to talk about sanctions relief. Would the U.S., though, listen to Emmanuel Macron, or will they accuse France of just, you know, looking out for its own financial interests somehow?
I think that there is a unique rapport between Macron and Trump. I think he does listen to Macron. I think that Macron makes a compelling argument. But the question is Trump willing to kind of eat crow, so to speak, on his whole Iran policy and take a step back? He was sold a bill of goods by hardliners in Washington and hawks in and around the Beltway that this is the way to get Iran to come back to the negotiating table. We put maximum pressure on them, and the Iranians will come, you know, kneeling, asking for a new deal. That didn't work out that way. Quite the opposite happened. Iran continued to act belligerently. It continued to expand its missile program, and now it's even expanding its nuclear program.
Right. And then we get these attacks allegedly perpetrated by Iran on Aramco facilities in Saudi Arabia. As far as talk about holding Iran responsible for those attacks, I mean, first of all, will we see genuine proof and penalties in return?
There will probably be some kind of penalties in return. Knowing the way the U.S. operates, it might be some kind of clandestine operation. It might be some kind of way of undermining Iran's military or defense capabilities. As far as proof goes, it has not been forthcoming. And the wisest people in Washington that I know have said that the case is not a slam dunk, that Iran covered its tracks pretty well. It was with a very high likelihood Iran that perpetrated this attack on the oil facilities, but it's very difficult to prove.
Okay. Borzou, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate it, as always.